You are listening to the Obstructed View Red Sox podcast, presented by Beyond the Monster.
Welcome back. We have a new episode of the Obstructed View Red Sox podcast. It's our first episode in a couple of weeks. If you have not been following OBV, you can check out though the To the Show We Go podcast. The guys just recorded with Chris Cotillo tonight. That'll be available the same day this podcast has dropped. You can check out many of the other episodes that we have dropped over the last couple of weeks. But today though, we have a special guest that is joining us. We're going to talk some Red Sox. We're going to sneak in a little bit of football too, because we've got, there's some football news that has dropped. Before we get going, I'm with Jamie Gatlin, my co-host. Jamie, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Ready to talk some, it's been a quiet day with Boston sports. Nothing to get people mad about. So it's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. We brought in a guest. We have Lucy Burdge. So you got a little bit of your Odyssey. Your GM. Welcome to the podcast. How are we doing?
Thank you very much. I am doing great. Yes, I do a lot of sports betting with Odyssey and BetMGM and BetQL, and it's just it's never a dull day for the Red Sox, really. Even though sometimes it feels like it, it's definitely not, because there's always, as they are the interest kings, they're always in the mix for something. So there's just always something going on today. Nothing really special going on, nothing outrageous that they have done today. So, it's a nice slow day.
Speaking of John Henry and Co, what do you think about them not going to Winter Weekend, deciding to take that off?
Yeah, this is kind of like the biggest slap in the face to fans, because last Winter Weekend, obviously for him, was a disaster. I think for the fans was a success, because obviously now the fans are in his head. And there's one reason and one reason only why he's not going to Winter Weekend, and that's because he doesn't want to face the fans. He doesn't want, of course, there's no town hall. This is insane. This year of all years, you feel like there's got to be a town hall, because I feel like the gripes are more full of outrage than last year, because this was supposed to be the year that things got done, and this was not a bridge year. This was the year that we're going full throttle. If full throttle had never been brought up, I feel like people would not be this outraged, and the expectations would not be so high. And I could rant about this forever, but this is not full throttle. This is put off the gas, the car's out of control, and it has crashed. That is what this feels like. So I think it is absolutely outrageous, and it's a slap in the face. And I just feel like he is given up. It's just outrageous.
Yeah, certainly the perception, to the fan base, all we can go by is actions. Obviously we don't know what he's thinking, because he doesn't speak to the media. And when he does speak, he doesn't paint himself in a good light. I mean, those videos are resurfacing again from last year, all the way to the point where he was, checking his watch.
Oh, that move, that move was outrageous, because I remember interpreting it. We were all interpreting it. And basically what it meant was he doesn't have time for this.
Yeah.
I don't have time to answer these questions. But it kind of, I think he made the move as obviously I do. I don't have time for this. No. And another thing, before I forget, the day Chaim Bloom was fired, I was walking into the Prudential Center Mall, and who was walking right by me? John Henry and Linda Pizzuti, walking the other way, and no one was really around them. And it's that moment where you stop and you're like, I don't say something in this moment to them. I don't just say hi, what do you say? But he was smiling. He and Linda were talking, and he was smiling. So he seems to be living just fancy free, while we're all just living with this, what was going on with this team. So I just had to bring that up before I forget as well.
I guess it makes you wonder now that you say that, and you see him walking and doing a little shopping with Linda, as to whether or not of how much was he part of that decision. I'm sure he had some sort of say. I mean, at the end of the day, he's putting, his autograph on the checks, but and I don't think you necessarily need to be in the room, but now that you're kind of saying that continues to, it's just tone deaf. It's a tone deaf, look. And I think, if he wants to try to put some, goodwill back into it, one, he needs to, I don't necessarily think they need to go and spend massive amounts of money, but at least show the effort to the people who are going to go to the ballpark that you're trying to contend. Who knows? Maybe the group that they're going to bring in and these younger players that are going to be coming up through the system and they just acquired, maybe those guys, you'll get lucky, but you're banking on so much. You're banking on so many young guys that it just, to me, the odds don't really fit into your favor. And then to your point, the full throttle thing, I got to tell you what, like, that is, I hate that term so much because now, but they did it to themselves. Why say something like that when really the biggest throttle of your offseason so far has been trading Verdugo, which everybody in the world knew was going to happen. Giolito is your major free agent signing, which fine. I like Giolito. I think it's a good piece, but shouldn't be the piece. And am I missing something here? Tyler O'Neill. That's it.
Yeah. Or Dick Fitz,
Best nickname in the Red Sox.
Vaughn Grissom.
Vaughn Grissom, thank you.
You know what? I'm excited about him, but
Man.
Does this scream throttle to you?
No.
It's the complete opposite of whatever that they meant by that term.
These are moves though that the Red Sox made this year that if you had if they did the full throttle last year, and now you're adding in Grissom, you're adding in O'Neill. Now I'm going to add Giolito. These are pieces that you're adding. Now, to me, you're adding, these guys are good. Don't get me wrong, but there's just so much you're banking on. I've kind of looked at the Red Sox like this the last 2 years now. I kind of look at the Red Sox as being like a 3-year-old child. They're super finicky, whiny. Everything has to be just so. They won't take any chances. So you go and throw the iPad in front of the fan base with Lucas Giolito, and you try to distract us from what's really going on around, and it's not working. So to me, not having the owner at winter weekend, whether he wants to talk or not, I think is a massive, massive disrespect to the people that you're asking to pay. I don't care whether you're paying secondary prices or the prices to get into Fenway Park through their website. I just think that you're tone deaf to what's going on now. And you're making people validating the Penguin stuff in Liverpool, in golf, and anything else they're trying to buy.
100%. I think that it's an absolutely tone deaf move because when was the last time we heard him speak? And even the Breslow introductory press conference, he arrives late he was shopping, of course, so that's understandable. But it's just every move he makes it screams, I don't care. I just don't care. I don't want to face the fans. You think about years and years ago when John Henry stormed into the Sports Hub station to come on the air, to talk directly to the fans. Where did that guy go? This is a different person. This is a person with very different priorities than he had 10, 20 years ago. The priority was flipped. It was the opposite. It was, we are winning a World Series, and that's the end of story. Literally 20 years ago tonight, they were thinking this. So
John Henry was neutered that day. After that, he's completely seriously, when's the last time that John Henry, he had his media balls were taken and they were just put away. They're gone. He's literally done nothing.
Yeah.
Within the media, and it's frustrating. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was one of the best rants you've had. And going back to the last year too, I feel like when Carrabis asked him that question, you saw Sam Kennedy step in 3 seconds after. You know what I mean? I feel like he was avoiding the question. You saw Kennedy kind of being the spokesman when Henry had very little interest.
Yeah, he checks his watch and he just kind of diverts it to and as soon as Jared asked that too, you saw Sam Kennedy kind of his motion was a little bit he nodded a little bit. And it was we even joke about it or something. Looking at your watch is the wrong move. And John Henry's not stupid. And I think he has a bit more, I know people joke about this, but a little bit more social awareness than maybe we give him credit for. He knows that that's not the right move to make there. He made that for a reason. So it's just, and it's just that is the time when else do you get to ask those questions? When else do fans get to ask And so, I mean, people get on Jared for not asking these questions. He did it to his face, in front of his own camera. He asked these questions, and John Henry absolutely blew the PR opportunity. He had a perfect opportunity right there to answer that, and he didn't, and I don't think he ever will. And I mean, at what point do you sell the team? Like,
Yeah, I don't see, to be honest, I just don't see them doing it. I just, you know what I mean? Like everything that I mean, Fenway Sports Group, everything, I don't know. I don't see it. I just hope there's like a part of me that's wondering, like, all right, are they maybe level setting for 2025's offseason? Because it is pretty loaded with some players that's in there. You know, you do get the likes of Juan Soto, Alex Bregman's going to be there. There is some pitching. You know what I mean? Like maybe they're just, you know, they're obviously not going to tell you the plan, but maybe that was the plan all along. The Mets are doing the same thing. There are teams that are kind of lining their books up a little bit. Maybe that's what's happening. I'm not going to hold my breath out for that. But at the end of the day, the Red Sox are not acting like the Red Sox, but maybe what we've kind of seen in the last 4 or 5 years, that's the Red Sox. And maybe we just have to come to grips with it because they're clearly fine with the product that's on the field.
yeah. I mean, there's changes have to be made, I feel like, because one side of ownership is saying, oh, full throttle. And then the other people in the front office are not coming to the same conclusion that, yes, we should be full throttle. And to me, full throttle right now, Jorge Soler. Like, just get Jorge Soler. That's full throttle right now. Full throttle would have been anybody else that you could, Shohei Ohtani would have been full throttle. That to me is full throttle. But no, this is the opposite. It's like, oh no, actually, you know what? And you know what the other thing though, with winter weekend last year, John Henry, when he said something like stars are expensive.
Baseball.
And I mean, that was maybe worse than the watch thing, because these are fans who go to Fenway and pay hundreds of dollars, not even hyperbole, to go to a game. For a family of 4 to go to a game at Fenway, that's hundreds of dollars, parking, concessions, you name it. And this guy is like, well, you know, stars are expensive, so you know we got to keep raising the price of that. That is absolutely disgusting. That is disgusting, honestly. So for him to not now, with those prices rising and with the team, I mean, is it better? Nah. And for him to not show his face, it's disgusting.
Yeah. That's why we have Cooper Criswell for $1 million to change the bullpen.
Yep, he will. It's gonna be, you know, this is the year. This is the year you would think 20 years after 2004. And in honor of Tim Wakefield, wouldn't you want to win a World Series more than ever in the past few years? Like, I feel like that should be the plan going forward. I don't feel like the plan is World Series win. I feel like it's, oh, well, if we fluke our way into it, then maybe. But it doesn't feel like it's not the same drive as we've seen in the past, as you said, which is really
I felt the same way too after Cherry Remy, because I felt like that was another, you know, there was opportunity. You know what I mean? Now you don't want to capitalize on stuff like that, but you like the door is open for you to get that goodwill back with people. You know what I mean? Because fans will forget. Well, sorry, let me phrase that. Fans will forgive. They're not going to ever forget this moment in Red Sox history. You know what I mean? Like for me, I don't really think it's as bad because I was able to see this team before 2000 and you know, experience watching them on Fox play the Yankees with my, you know, watching with my dad and then just getting that heartbreak, the Red Sox losing to New York, you know, when they were really good. So I don't really look at this as being, but that's what it is for half the people who are on social media right now. This is their early 2000s before that finally broke through. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be an interesting, I will be there next weekend, really just more so because we were there last year rather. And I've been tweeting it and I'm going to keep tweeting it. If you need me, I'll be at the bar.
Nice. Yep. That sounds like the best plan of act. Did you go to the town hall last year?
Yeah. So I sat directly. So I was with Andrew Parker, who also we do a podcast with, and we were initially going to sit on the floor. And I was like, no, dude, like, no, let's go up. We're going to go up. We're going to sit dead right in the middle. And I want to be able to get video. I said, that's going to be our best spot. And it was the best spot for us because we were to the right of the dude who kept yelling Dombrowski.
Oh, nice.
With booing. We had really no kids around us. So like we had some like just adults who were pissed and just saying what when they were letting it fly.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to just that again, kind of going to the same spot, town hall style, you know what I mean? And just kind of watching them wear it again. But looks like it's me Papelbon instead doing his own thing.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You
That'll be interesting.
yell that stuff at Tom, Karen, and Papelbon.
But
They deserve it.
I think something like Papelbon with no filter, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
But really at the end of the day, I more so now just want to go to see what it's going to be like. What's the fan reception? How many, what did it, what was the show out like? I think it's a bad look when Rafael Devers, your franchise player, is not going to be there for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like that's a bad look to me.
However, Tristan Casas will be there.
Casas, yeah, Grissom's going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they trade Kenley before they go there because it gives some sort of buzz. Like if you can get another player that will maybe give a little more juice before you go in there. I'm not holding out hope for Soler, but I don't know. It's just disheartening, but
Yeah. Well, when you go to the town hall, you should yell nice things at Tom Karen because Tom Karen is the nicest guy you will ever find in this world. And you should just yell, "You're so nice. What a great guy." That would be the opposite of last year. And I think
I met him in person this year at Fenway. We were on our way to the one of Cora's pre-games, and he wasn't on the phone. So I was like, "Hey, Tom, I just want to introduce myself," and was able to kind of put a Twitter avatar and Twitter, profile, but just very, very nice. Just the fact, like, it just didn't big league you, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like he stopped, he talked with you. You know what I mean? Like there was no rush. Like he made it feel like you were important for the 2 minutes that you spoke. So that I appreciate because that doesn't happen a lot of times.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I first met him back, it was 2017, and I was doing it was the alumni game, and I was in the dugout for WEI doing Bradfo had me doing side. There was Bradfo and Evan Drellick on the air, and I was doing the dugout reporting. Like I would hand the mic to Pedro or whoever, Lowell was right there. So Tom Karen, before it starts, comes up to me, knows my name, and said, "If you need anything, let me know the lay of the land. If you need help finding anything, let me know." And I was like, how do you know? Like, that's incredible. Like to me, it made me feel comfortable. I had never had the setup before or whatever. And he was, I mean, it's just like, you didn't have to do that. He's just so nice. So yeah, yell nice things at him.
Yeah, I agree. I want to change up the pace a little bit. We were talking about change, right? So we're gonna go from change in baseball. There's gonna be change in football. We're waiting patiently on what the Patriots are gonna do. What do you think Robert Kraft is going to do, and what do you think he should do in regards to Bill Belichick?
The more so my thought process with this was I was really sad thinking next year Belichick will be gone because I don't know the Patriots without Bill Belichick. So as even the final game when it was the swan song was very sad. And I thought Bill is gone tomorrow. We're going to get the news tomorrow. He's gone on Monday. Monday comes and he starts his press conference saying, I am under contract. I'm not leaving. So then I thought, oh my God, he's staying. My first thought, he's staying. So then Mike Vrabel gets fired. And I feel like, as Michael Hawley said, 98% sure he's gone. And now I think he will end up being gone. And because Michael Hawley knows that Jay Glazer also reporting this, and Jay Glazer does not miss. So I feel like Vrabel was a big piece of this puzzle that we were waiting for. Robert Kraft was waiting for. I think what will happen is Robert Kraft will hire Vrabel as the head coach and fire Belichick. Although I think Belichick deserves, if he wants to, ride out the rest of his contract for next year. I think he deserves that. So I think that's what he should do. Robert Kraft should do. But I think what he will do is Belichick, see ya, and Mike Vrabel, you are the new head coach.
Do you think Vrabel can get them back on track? Do you think he's the guy?
I think this is the thing too, is yes, I would rather have Belichick over Vrabel because he's just more experienced. And I think if they can draft a quarterback and get a good quarterback, I think both, could be successful, but I think that would give Belichick a really good opportunity to be successful because if he has a good quarterback, it's going to be, he and Mac Jones hate hate each other. The way he made him the third quarterback for the final game. That was my favorite thing of the whole season. I mean, that is the biggest F you to him I mean, is that Belichick's way out the door? Or was Belichick thinking Mac Jones is gone? So I'm just going to do this. But I think Vrabel has the locker room presence to get them back on track. I think they will play for Vrabel. I forget who it was. There was some player in the trailer for the new Dynasty documentary who said, we worked for Bill, we played for Tom.
Amendola.
Thank you. Okay, of course. And so I feel like they would play for Vrabel, I feel like, because Vrabel knows a Patriots locker room. He knows what it takes in a Patriots locker room. So I feel like he would have a really great chance of righting the ship here.
Pete Carroll is gone as well in Seattle, which was kind of a little bit of a shock as well. It was actually funny because I haven't done a lot of sports talk radio probably in the last 6 weeks. I've kind of needed that break from it. But when I do listen, it's Felger and Maz. And the way that they were covering Pete Carroll today, they would just kind of jump back into his press conference because he just kept ranting and talking and talking. But I thought that was a shocker, and I have to wonder, are they going to make the play for Vrabel? And then you hear within the same hour that Nick Saban is retiring from Alabama. So does that mean, like, is he retiring from Alabama or is he retiring from coaching football? You know, is he setting himself up to go to the NFL? Is he going to go to Carolina? I think right now it's going to be interesting because you're going to have some legit names. And the second that Belichick is free, if he's free, now it's, this is going to be probably your biggest offseason for head coaches. And probably, I can't remember names like this.
Yeah, there's so many openings. A lot of stuff is happening. The timing is very interesting. So now there are more pieces of the puzzle in play. I mean, now it's like anyone's ball game here.
After the slow MLB offseason, I'm ready for some chaos.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of weeks, whether it's football or baseball.
Exactly. Well, that's what it is. It's like the chaos that keeps coming is so at the same time as the Saban thing, you got the John Henry thing, and that's the fuel of my fire. At least that is what I live for this stuff.
I'm just ready for some conversation, not be like completely surrounded by a bunch of old dudes, because that's really what it's going to come down to. It's John Henry, who's in his 70s, Belichick's in his 70s. Like all these guys we're so focused on guys in their 70s than the young athletes within the sport. We got a few more minutes before we let you go. We're going to kind of segue a little bit, kind of empty out our bench a little bit of just kind of random questions.
Love it.
What is your favorite Eminem song?
Ooh, okay. So this changes so much, but I always go back to Rabbit Run on the 8 Mile soundtrack. That song propelled me through so much stuff in like middle school, high school, I mean, to this day. And so I would say Rabbit Run is always the one I think of first. But Come On Everybody is also a great one.
What's funny because like I haven't listened to Eminem in probably, and I get in these like weird moods when it comes to music. And going through TikTok yesterday, and the very first video that I saw was, I don't know, like some like DJ electronic stuff. And they were like, name this song. And I was like, oh, that was Stan. I haven't heard that song. And then yesterday I'm going on this rabbit hole. And I'm like, interviewing you today, you're an Eminem fan. It's kind of like how that just ties together. It's like small world,
Yeah, it's like TikTok knows. I mean, they can read your brain. So your feed was just curated for that, I think. Because it screams Eminem, my whole persona.
I have kind of a baseball one. What's the best game you've been to at Fenway, or one kind of that stands out the most?
Ooh, so there was, I think it was this summer, and I would say this one, because there were a few, this was the first summer of my life where I can't remember how many games I went to. I have never lost track before, and I lost track this year, which is like, that's a blessing. I am very grateful. But there was one I went to, it was one of the Mookie return games, and the crowd, the back and forth between the Dodgers fans and the Red Sox fans was like nothing I could remember in a crowd at Fenway, even Yankee games, because the intensity of whatever Mookie would do, no, if it was good or bad, either side would be just yelling at each other, and it was so intense. And I think that was maybe my favorite, just because the energy was so hype and it was so intense, especially at the end. So I think maybe that one was the best one of the season. But there were so many that were so great. The last game of the season, I was at the last game of the season, and I was standing up behind home plate at the bar up there, just like on the like standing room only area, and it's just like a breeze, and it was just like you're looking around at it's just amazing. So I would say that one is memorable because it sticks out. Also the one I got the Barbie shirt at too. That was not Barbie night, but it was when I was walking home, and the cart of shirts that they were selling in Kenmore. So I got one of those as well. After like 2 glasses of wine, a Fenway Barbie shirt looks pretty appealing. So I was like, I gotta get one of these, guys. What's your Instagram? I love you guys. Like, oh my God. But yeah, acquired one of those.
I remember in college with student ads, I would go like every weekend whenever that email came out. I missed college for that reason, taking advantage of that.
Yeah. If I was I went to school outside of Boston, but if I was in Boston, like if I was to do it over, like if I went to BU and took advantage of that, I'd be there every night. Like that's amazing.
I only got to go to 2 games as a fan. I went to opening day, which absolutely sucked.
Oh,
It
that
was
was
freezing.
cool.
And then before getting in the ballpark, like I was already like in the bag, which it doesn't usually happen. I'm usually pretty good. I kind of wait. And then it went to see them play the Marlins, and it was one of Alcantara's last starts before he went on the IL this year. It is cool, and to kind of get a different perspective though, going as just trying to be a fan and just trying to relax and watch a baseball game, and then going though when you're there to cover the game. It's 2 different perspectives. It's like 2 different. You have to kind of train yourself to kind of focus in different ways. But this was the first year that I can't even I couldn't tell you how many games that I went to between the Sox, the Woo Sox. It was it was a great summer, and I had some other stuff like going on because I got like sick towards the end of the summer. So it was like great, but also sucked at the same time. But no, it was, I'm kind of with you with that, where it's like, you went to so many games this year. I don't think you can really pick what your favorite was, because there was so much that you could kind of talk about from this past year. But
yeah. I was also at the one where the pouring rain, where the concourse flooded. And my friend and I left. Oh my God, her boyfriend picked us up right as, because there were no Ubers. Ubering, you had to like run to the Target, and then the downpour was unbelievable. Lightning, thunder, all of it. We left right as it started flooding, so we missed the slip and slide action. But that night was also memorable because we were like, maybe it'll stop soon, but it did not stop.
I remember seeing videos of that on Twitter. I was like, at the Rays game, covering the Rays, I was like, what is happening back home, and why is there slip and slide at Fenway?
Yeah. That went national. That was like all over, like everyone had that. And then the next day I went back, and it was so warm and sunny. And I went back by myself, and it was so relaxing. I went out to the bleachers and just sat out there. That was memorable as well.
all right. We're at the 30-minute mark. You gave us 30 minutes of your time. We totally appreciate you coming on. Get you one more. You do sports betting. We asked really nothing about sports betting. So we'll kind of ask you this. And how do you go about just coming up with how you want to go about your content when it comes to picks, and what's that process like for you?
Yeah, so when I started doing it, I wanted to gear it toward Boston stuff because a lot of my audience was Boston based. But then I started realizing like that I could do more and branch out, and what I do is national, so why not just branch out? So pretty like day to day, I pretty much just look at the games that are that day, and like generally I do, like football is a little bit tougher because you're like all week you're waiting for the games, but then I wait to that day. So I'm like, I'll just do it that day. Like, why not? Because the lines change very quickly as well. But basically every day I just look at I pick like 3 games that I like, or like, oh, this will be a blowout for sure, which is nothing's for sure. But then I just kind of pick them, and I look at a lot of different things and factors and against the spread records, and I'm like, yeah, this feels right. A lot of it I land on a point. I look at a lot of different things, and I land on a point where like this feels good. And I never go with one that like I'm iffy about. I'm always like, this feels right.
I try to do sports betting a little bit. I've tried to get into it more lately because usually I did like during March Madness last year, and that did not go well at all.
March Madness is so tough. I am this year, not dreading it, but I am scared about this year because there were like 2 years ago when I made, or 3 or 4, whatever, but years ago, made my bracket. I was actually at EEI doing a show. I printed out my bracket, or like I was producing the show, and I made my bracket. I had Yale to win in the end, and the game started, Yale lost. And that was my bracket. Like, there you go. That's it. And so, I mean, bracket is technically betting. So I started tweeting them out as my picks, and people were like, "On that money line, it's too short. You have to like not use those as your." And I was like, people in sports betting on social media. I have seen every form of social media. I've seen everything you can say. Sports betting is the worst. People get so mad at you, and they come after your credibility, and like it is endless. So New Year's resolution: don't reply to any trolls, and it has made my life. I mean, I've done it, of course, broke that, but it's made my life easier. But sports betting is tough. It's really tough.
Really, with sports betting, it's you can't, you gotta, either you're all in or you can't do it. You know,
Yeah.
it can be something you're gonna casually be like, I got nothing I want to write about or do a video on. I'm just gonna do it. Like, either you're in or you're out. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, to your point though, people will call that out, but that's what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of sports betting just in general. I got friends that, will be at the bar, we'll watch games, and they're telling me about their parlays and all this other stuff. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then when I go to do it, like, I can't win more than $3 playing Keno. I'm going to go and spend $50 on a game. Like,
It's
I
tough.
can't.
Yeah, and especially like it is my full-time job. So it's tough every day. Not tough. I mean, I enjoy it, of course, but every day for people, what I get a lot of is like, what is even your job? And I'm like, this is my full-time job. Like, there's a lot of things that I do. So they're like, wow, and people, it's just like, why not just have fun with it? Like, people are so serious. And so that's what's tough, is that if you do it, like, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertainment. So when you take it so seriously, like that's just not the way I go about it. Yeah, I go about it as entertainment, and I think it's really fun, but it's not easy. It's really not easy. And especially like when you go to Fenway and you watch a game, but you have bets on that game, or you've given out like Red Sox money line, and you're like, oh God, this game is really going to pieces here. And that is the way that goes. So usually the other thing, when I would go to games last year, I would try not to bet on or have too many bets on that game, or like have anything in that game, so I could just enjoy it. So that was my strategy for that last year too.
The Red Sox burned me.
Yeah.
So I was going to do, before the season started, I was going to do 578. It took the over 78.5.
Yeah, I did as well.
So I was going to do that through, I think it was the Barstool app at the time, I think. And then when my buddy was like, well, no sense, you're going to lose either way. So why don't we just do it between you and I, and we'll just do like a bet that way. And there was, at one point, we were looking at like the calendar. I think it was in like August. I was like, I just need 12 wins in 2 months. Like, there's no way that they can just completely shit the bed and not get 12 wins. And I mean, I was like 78 on the head, and I'm like, gotta be kidding me. And then at that point, I was pretty bitter towards the Red Sox for like a good 6-week stretch. I was really, really bitter.
Yeah, I remember that countdown, as a lot of people had that bet, because going into last season was very optimistic. And then they had spurts. But yeah, no, that was not something that I should actually, you know what, I think I had over 80, if I recall, because I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, this is gonna be great. The season's gonna be a success. You're gonna win the World Series, but no, they didn't. And so, yeah, those odds as well. Last I saw it was like plus 5,000, I believe. Which like it should be longer than that.
I joke now. I say it's 78.5. Take the under at this point. I'm not even touching it anymore.
Like, what did they do that makes you think they can win 80 games this season?
Nothing. I think at the same
Nothing.
time, if you take out Chris Sale's 20 starts, and now you're replacing with Giolito, I don't know. I think there's a lot to be optimistic for, but you know what I mean? The big league product, there's not a lot of change. Again, like we talked about, you're banking on, Will Abreu. He looked really good with the Woo Sox. Dude is such a great eye at the plate. But you're just banking on so much with young players, and it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to who's a Braves fan loves Vaughn Grissom, and they're sad that he's gone, which is great news for us because I'm actually really excited about him. Also excited about Tristan Casas's development, obviously, but he is one that I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. If not, last year was a breakout situation for him at the end a little bit, but I think this year is going to be huge for him. And I think there is a lot to be excited about. I wish the optics were better, is all.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
They could go full throttle with the pitching. I think that would help, but right now they're doing the opposite. So
just the optics of let's go for a big fish.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I've said to Chris, like, go get Montgomery, like pay him 160. That's not outrageous, but even we've seen reports that they're like, yeah, that's too much. It's kind of like, so what are you gonna do at that point?
Right. Or defer, whatever. You use that loophole. Like, are you kidding me? Like, do that with Shohei Ohtani and let like the next ownership group deal with that. Like you would get with the other thing is that Fenway whole complex that they're building around Fenway. If you had a player like Shohei Ohtani and with that whole development with it, you could do so much marketing that you would bring back your investment tenfold. And that bothers me as well.
You get an all-star game almost instantly.
Yeah.
MLB would love to imagine being able to market Shohei Ohtani as a Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park as an all-star with that brand new layout all around the ballpark, taking advantage of the concert hall in the front. You can do all kinds of stuff all week to bring in all kinds of cash for both sides, concerts, you name it. You know what I mean? There's so many, I don't know, for a team that used to be so good at the PR side of it and coming up with these like really cool outside of Dr. Charles.
I was going to say.
And he's in Worcester, and Worcester is there reaping that benefit by having his brain there. And one of the nicest guys that I've ever met as well. Dr. Charles is absolutely, talk about being an executive and just taking the time to talk with you and just doesn't care that, hey, I may be an executive with running a baseball team. Just shooting the shit, talking baseball is, I don't know.
That's the best.
It's awesome. So
yeah, no one puts on a celebration like him. I mean, he's a genius when it comes to that. So it's the old days. As many have said about this winter weekend, it's going to harken back to the glory days, which is like, that's kind of sad because, I mean, of course I'd love to celebrate the 04 team and all the other teams that have won the World Series, but that's not where the state of the team currently, and that's kind of sad.